5, 4. We've gone for main engine start. We have main engine start.
The first launch of NASA's Space Shuttle Columbia was on April the 12th, 1981, exactly 20 years after the first manned spaceflight. It was the main event of 1981. The Space Shuttle Columbia launched into orbit with astronauts John Young and Bob Crippen at the helm, orbiting the Earth 36 times and landing back at the Kennedy Space Center on April the 14th. The Space Shuttle program was launched in 1972, when US President Richard Nixon announced that NASA would proceed with the development of a reusable space shuttle system. The final design was less costly to build and less technically ambitious, but would routinely and safely launch into orbit as a rocket and then return to Earth as a glider. The first fully functional shuttle orbiter was the one used for the 1981 debut space launch. Columbia, NASA's first space-worthy shuttle, lifted off at exactly 7 a.m. on the morning of April the 12th from Launch Complex 39, Pad A, at the Kennedy Space Center. The first flight was commanded by veteran Apollo and Gemini astronaut John Young and first-time spaceflyer Bob Crippen as pilot. Crippen had served as a support crew for other missions, but had never before made the journey into space.
15, 14, 13, minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We've gone for main engine start. We have main engine start.
The mission objectives of the maiden flight were to check out the overall shuttle system, accomplish a safe ascent into orbit, and to return to Earth for a safe landing. Inside the shuttle was a development flight instrumentation package, which contained sensors and measuring devices to record orbiter performance and the stresses that occurred during launch, ascent, orbital flight, descent, and landing. The two astronauts tested Columbia's systems, opening the cargo bay doors and taking measurements. After orbiting the Earth for around 54.5 hours, the Space Shuttle Columbia landed at Edwards Air Force Base on April the 14th, just after 10:20 a.m. It was the first test flight of what was at the time probably the most complex spacecraft ever built. There were some unexpected glitches on Columbia's first flight, and as the shuttle depended on ground communication systems to speak with mission control, many could not be tested. And there were other problems. A pressure shockwave from the solid rocket boosters damaged a bolt that supported its forward thruster assembly on the launch pad. 16 heat shield tiles fell from the shuttle, and over 140 others sustained damage. However, Columbia went on to fly 28 successful missions and spent over 300 days in space. It completed 4,800 orbits and flew over 200 million kilometers. But on February the 1st, 2003, the now 22-year-old Columbia disintegrated over Texas during re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere, killing all 7 crew members. The loss of Columbia was determined to be a result of damage sustained during launch, when a piece of foam insulation broke off the external tank under the forces of launch. The foam struck the left wing, damaging the shuttle's thermal protection system, which protects it from the heat that is generated during re-entry. A massive ground search in parts of Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas recovered crew remains and the shuttle's fragments. In 1981, NASA had described Columbia's first mission as the boldest test flight in history, a turning point for the US space program. It took just 2 days, 6 hours, 20 minutes, and 53 seconds.